Welcome to the Heartland Arms podcast. I'm Michael. Today we are going to kind of get right into it. We're going to talk about storage, safe storage, where to store your firearm, or a lot of stuff nowadays. It's not just about the firearm, although a lot of states require certain requirements for storing weapons and things of that nature. So before you just run out and buy a safe or run out and buy something to secure that weapon, make sure you're checking with your state laws first. Okay? What's legal and what's acceptable in my state may not fly in your state. Some of the bigger states that I've seen that really have some strict rules. I think New York has some pretty strict rules. You have California, of course, has their crazy laws and what's allowed, what's not. That isn't just pertaining to firearms. That's pertaining to how it's stored as well. So let's get right into what we're talking about. So generally when you buy a firearm, they all come with this, and if you've bought a lot of firearms, you probably have those trigger locks, and you might, if you have enough of them, you could I have a basket full. People give them to me and say, "Hey, I'm not going to use this." I'm like, "Yeah, I'll take it. See if anybody wants it." No one ever wants them. I can't give them away. You can buy them for $10 to $30, depending on. If you need something cheap, easy to use, like a cable or a trigger lock would work in that situation. Just kind of what you're looking at there. Also, before we get into a lot of these, we're going to get into a lot of them. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow on Facebook, Twitter, or X nowadays, right? It's X, right?
Yeah, it's X now.
Okay. Instagram. You are on YouTube, Rumble, Spotify. It's really hard to get a gun tube or the content that I provide to you guys. It's really hard to get that out because the algorithms don't like what we are doing. And we're just trying to educate people. So, I'm not a big fan of the trigger locks. They're good when you get a firearm, or the reality is if you're gonna leave it in a safe and it's not something that it's a competition, 22 or something that you rarely ever get out and you have a trigger lock on it. Yeah, that's great. Situations that I could think of is I've got a competition 22 that has a scope that I use for competitions, and I don't want anybody else in my household playing with the trigger or doing any of that. Might get a trigger lock for it. It's something I might do just because even if you have, like, a friend comes over and you're showing them or you're getting ready to go to the range and your friend comes over and he sees it in your safe, "Ooh, can I look at that?" Well, yeah, you could look at it, but you can't pull the trigger because I got it kind of locked down here. So only real reason I could see a trigger lock. Now they make these little small boxes. I have quite a few. I don't actually have one down here. They're all actually stored away for me now. But they're little portable boxes that you can take around. I would recommend always getting the ones that have where you can put a lock on it, just in case. Sometimes some states require a lock on there. Just kind of the way it goes. Those small portable boxes could range anywhere from $25 to, I've seen them up to like $200, depending on what it is. Now, some of them are soft, some of them are hard. Certain states will have a requirement. you just have to make sure. Some states don't. Some just say, you know what, it just has to be in some type of sealed container. So if you're driving around, you can't get access to it. So if it's in a soft case or a hard box and you have a lock in it, then you're, and that's just laying in your trunk, which is where I would recommend doing it. That's what I would do. If it does happen to be laying in the back seat, let's say you have a truck, you don't want it just laying in the back of your pickup truck, so you just put it in the back seat. As long as it's locked up and the key here is you can't just reach over and grab it and go. That's kind of what the laws really are trying to prevent. That stuff on the go. And then you have the stuff that is kind of, so, and I have a few of these. I'll name the brand, Stack On. Some people have just cringed. I get it. It's just a steel cabinet. It's basically to keep that firearm away from kids. It's probably the bare minimum that I would recommend for home. You could get the small Stack On, you could get the big. You could attach them to the wall, but I mean, the reality here is if someone has a crowbar, those fold pretty quick. They are surprisingly sturdy, because I've had a couple buddies that have found one and yeah, let's see if we can get into it. And it was not the easiest thing. However, my buddies aren't pros at breaking into things like that. So, take it what it's worth there. That is kind of the bare minimum. So, and don't get me wrong, I don't have small kids. I don't have... If you have a secure room that has a steel door and you have a safe room, yeah, you could have those steel cabinets all day. If you're worried about preventing damage as far as fire, they're not fire rated. Not going to work very well for fire resistant. So keep that in mind as well. Those things, I've seen them down to $50, all the way up to $400, depending on if you're getting a double door. There's all kinds of stuff you can get there. So keep that in mind. That's always, something that you can do on the cheaper level. And then you go into some of the entry level safes. So those are going to be a lot of your fire rated. They're going to be the heavy duty. Those things can start from $400 to $900. A mid to large gun safe is going to be about $1,000 to $3,000. If you want biometric locks, it can go up from there. They can get pretty expensive. I've seen some of the mid large gun safes for $10,000. Really nice. You could almost walk in, set up a cot and enjoy it, but just depends on what you're going to do. Now, if you're in an area with humidity, or you're storing these where there's humidity, there's one thing I'm going to tell you, and every gun owner can tell you this same thing. Water and guns do not mix. So, make sure you get some kind of dehumidifier, or they make these little pods. Think of it this way. They do it with, anytime you get your beef jerky, the flavor packs in there aren't for flavor. Just to let you know. Those are basically those are to pull moisture. So keep that in mind. So all kinds of stuff you can do here. We're going to go over to my screen here in one moment here. As soon as I get my mouse working here. All right, let's go to the screen here. We're going to go side by side. So what I did is, because I'm not going to peddle what you guys could do, I'm just going to pull up a Google search, okay? All I'm going to do, and you can see there's wall options, home, do it yourself. If you're crafty, you could do it yourself. Cabinets, there's secret containers, there's shelves. So, box, there's all kinds of stuff. So when I go through this, you could see this one right here with the two arrows. Now that is a shelf in your house that has a hidden compartment in there. I love this idea until you can buy them everywhere. And now, if I go to my buddy's house and I know he's a gun guy, if I saw some shelves that looked a little thick, I'm probably going to guess what's in there. Just because I don't think that's a good idea anymore. The secret's out, and once the secret's out, it's done. That's my opinion. Now, if you're not worried about someone breaking in, and you just want to have that where you don't want to have, well, I want a gun in this room, but I don't want, just to be laying it around. Something like that would work. Now, they make a lot of different items for saves, like this. So if you have several pistols that you have, you could get something like this that you could put in your safe. Here's a wall safe here. Looks like it has a glass on the front. This is a typical cabinet here. Okay. So is this one here. So this one has a mesh. So this is just securing them, and where you're not worried about fire or something like that. A lot of what you're going to see is cabinets nowadays. That's kind of what it is. This guy makes a lot of money, but you got to see it like this right here. This is a wall. You hang this flag on the wall. It's really thick because it has to hold these firearms in there. I hate to say it, the secret's out. As cool as those are, would I have one? Yeah, because I like that stuff. I'm also not having little kids in the house where I have to secure that firearm where I'm preventing injury from them. If you live alone, something like that would be great. So this is actually in a gun safe, and you can see the storage. And if you go down this rabbit hole, there's all kinds of stuff you can get. Here's a container. This is a box. So this is going to be generally for travel. Okay. This looks more of like a display piece. This is probably in a safe room somewhere. And you can see they make the containers to go different sizes. So you get them, pistol size. This one has a mirror. So if you have this in your bedroom and your other half doesn't want a gun safe against the wall, you're like, if I put a picture on, or a picture or a mirror or something like that, maybe she'll let me put that in there. It's always something you can do. But you can see there's all kinds of options. I will never recommend anything clear, okay? I think this is a horrible idea. I saw this earlier, and I'm not fond of clear. I'm also not fond of the picture right above it here, that you could see in. I'm not a fan of those. Some people are. Some people want just kind of a gate to, hey, these are off limits, and you have to have a key to go in there, and whatever it is, that's fine. I personally don't like to advertise something like that. So keep that in mind. I will get off my screen here. Keep that in mind when you're talking about storage of any of this stuff. Now I have a couple display storage as well. You'll probably see them they're made of wood. They have the glass front. Sometimes that glass is tempered. Sometimes it's not. And what it really means is security is kind of an illusion here, okay? If I know if I want in there bad enough, those wood cabinets that I have that look really nice, yeah, they look nice. They have the glass. I can look and say, ooh, those are cool. I've got some old things in there that I use it more of a display case, but it has a lock, but in no means do I consider that secure. You could break the glass, and that's what people say, oh, you just break the glass. I'll do one better. Look at the back. See if it's real wood. A lot of those display cases don't really have real wood on the back. They have that hard cardboard or very thin wood that you could really just kind of rip off. So kind of look at what you're getting. Those aren't secure. Do I have a couple? Yeah. Do I have, old stuff in there. I have some of my black powder in there. Yeah, it's great, but it's not something that I would trust to keep those secure and safe from a theft perspective. Now, I'm telling you, and my son's sitting next to you, right next to me here.
Yeah.
I have black powder in that stuff, right?
You do.
So the reason I put black powder in there is they're unloaded.
Nobody knows how to load them.
You don't know how to load black powder, right?
No.
So even if he were to get into those, he would have to know how to load black powder, get to the black powder stuff, and loading black powder is not, you can follow steps, but put yourself in a kid's perspective, probably not going to happen.
God, no.
Now, up until this point, until I just told you, Mikey, did you think those were pretty secure?
I honestly thought kind of ish.
Okay. When you were smaller, when you were littler, did you think, oh, that's I can't get in that?
I thought that, yeah.
Yeah. It's an illusion, okay? And I don't care how much money you spend on a safe or something along those lines. I'm telling you right now, if somebody wants to try and get in there bad enough, they can. People break into bank vaults, and those aren't easy to do. So if somebody wants it bad enough, they're going to go for it. I'm sorry, that's just what's going to happen. Which is why I always recommend, I have a biometric safe in my room that I have my go-to right there. Because the best deterrent from that, from trying to break into my safe, I'm the deterrent. You're going to have to think twice before you come over to my house and say, I'm going to try and break in and get that. And people say, oh, you would shoot somebody over, breaking into your stuff. You value your property more than human life. No, I value human life, and I hope it's preserved. I hope you don't value my property over your life. So take it what it is. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, TikTok. I think we're on Spotify. We're all over the place. Merchandise is coming. We are still working on it. But yeah, make sure you give us a like, thumbs up, subscribe. Hope you like the show, and we'll see you next time.